Hi, hey, hello. Welcome to my first reading vlog. I'm happy to have you here with me. So this is a vlog documenting my time doing the 72-hour readathon. So this is a readathon which takes place over the course of 72 hours where we just read as much as we can within that time frame pretty much. And this is hosted by Cassidy and her friends Mel, Lexi, and Monica. Within this readathon, we are to spin a wheel each time that we want a new book, and within one day we can either spin a wheel for in your comfort zone book or an out of your comfort zone book, and the prompts are all the same on each wheel, but it's just the whether or not it's in or out of your comfort zone that is different. I can link her video in the description, but without further ado, let us get into this video. So it started on Thursday, the 22nd, and went until Sunday, the 25th. And so on Thursday, I was very busy and I went and I had plans with some friends. So I went out for lunch to meet with a friend, and then we just hung out and watched some anime, which was really fun. And then I went out and met some other friends, and we were supposed to do a board game night, but everyone was very confused about the rules for the board games. So instead, we just drank and ate pizza and caught up, and it was a really nice time because we hadn't seen each other in very long time. So that was a wholesome little night. So I didn't have much time to read this day, but regardless, I did do a couple spins just to see which books I would choose. And so I chose to do Out of Your Comfort Zone. And so my first spin landed on my most used format, which, as of my statistics from last year, my most used format is ebook. And so I decided to continue reading Riot Baby by Tochi Onyebuchi. And I was like halfway through this, and I really needed some motivation to pick it up again because speculative fiction is so hard for me. It is so out of my comfort zone because it just confuses me on so many different levels. But I really like the message of this book, so I continued to pick it up. And the next spin that I did on Thursday for Out of Your Comfort Zone landed on new release. So this means either 2023 or 2024 release. And so I picked up a romance, right? Very uncharacteristic of me, but it's a book about books, so I figured I would like it. And so for this, I picked up The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. So during Friday, I made breakfast and I was looking through my bookshelves just to pick out some books that I want to get to in the near future. And since they're on my bookshelves, they're more in my comfort zone. So I just wanted to pull out a couple options to see what I might be interested in picking up. Most of this day, I actually spent editing my last video, so I wasn't really able to focus on anything else. So most of the day was just spent editing my videos, but I did continue on with my audiobook and read a little bit more of Riot Baby as well. I figured now would be a good time to give you a reading update on The Neighbor Favor. I'm like 60% of the way through this right now, and I'm really liking it. And I'm not that surprised that I'm liking it, especially because it has to do with book-related things, because both of the characters work with publishing or writing, and so a lot of well-known books are actually mentioned, such as the Graceling series and N.K. Jemisin, as well as How to Lose the Time War. Like, it's so cute seeing those little like Easter eggs and knowing exactly the books that they're talking about. So I love that little aspect. I will say though that I think the romance is like a bit fast, like their attraction to each other is a lot faster than I thought that it would be, but there still is a lot of sort of drawn out secret attraction at the same time. So they like know that they're attracted to each other, but then there's a wall that's stopping them. But regardless, I think it's really good. I love that it's dual perspectives. So we switch from the characters Lily and Nick. I love their characters, especially Nick, and pretty much like seeing how they deal with relationships and how their own like family trauma or previous experiences is affecting how they are viewing the prospect of a new relationship now. So for Nick's perspective, we definitely see a lot more of like family trauma that is affecting him. And for Lily, I think a lot of it has to do with like self-confidence and especially comparing herself to her older sisters. So I definitely find it interesting to see all the different aspects of her life that are contributing to that, or how we see that self-confidence maybe will grow, hopefully. I think for both of them, they are not really good at accepting compliments, that they feel like they're not really good enough. And I don't know, like, they're really cute because they don't really see their own potential within themselves yet and how much that they deserve, and wanting to sort of make the steps towards the things that they want to go for in life in terms of, like, their careers. Um, so they definitely need to like stand up for themselves more and kind of take control of their feelings and their expression of their feelings in a better way. So yeah, I am very excited to see how this goes. Yeah, that's my little update. On Saturday, I continued and finished reading both Riot Baby and The Neighbor Favor. And so after this, I spun the wheel for In Your Comfort Zone, and I landed on less than 300 pages. So I picked up Piranesi by Susanna Clark. I hopped on sprints for a while to read, and if you don't know what sprints are, sprints is pretty much just a Pomodoro timer where we are whatever task we need to be doing or reading, and there's a timer, we take breaks to talk, and yeah, it's just a collective area for us to sit together and kind of hold each other accountable with the timer in order to get some reading done. So I hopped on sprints for a while in order to finish the books, and as well as starting Piranesi, and I think I spent most of my day doing this, but I also have been kind of distracted because I get this feeling where even though I didn't have very much to do, I still felt that I couldn't fully relax and I couldn't fully just let myself read. So I don't know if you get that. I feel like probably everyone gets that sort of feeling at some point or another. But I know that I did spend quite a while on social media, which not fun. I really do need to kind of cut down on my social media intake in order to kind of just let myself relax and actually just read. Later on Saturday night, I was feeling a bit nostalgic, and so I decided to watch Shrek. Yes, Shrek, one of my favorite movies and like franchises ever. If you know me, you know I love Shrek. So I watched it. It was wholesome. It may or may not have made me cry. I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, like, trust me, when you rewatch it and you actually listen to the messages that are being conveyed in this movie, like, it is so wholesome and it tells you so much about friendship and about, literally all of the layers that people have and feeling misunderstood. And it makes so much sense why I loved it as a kid and why I still love it now. So, there we go.
It ain't nothing but a bunch of little dots. You know, Donkey, sometimes things are more than they appear. Forget it.
Hello, hello. So I have some updates for you. My first spin was using the out of your comfort zone wheel, and I landed on most used format, which is ebook. And so I was in the middle of reading Riot Baby, so I decided to use that for this prompt. I finished it on Saturday, and I gave it like 3 stars. This was about two siblings growing up in Harlem, and the older sister kind of has these powers. There's being able to like touch a person and see part of their memories in their past, and you can also share these with another person. She could transport herself to another place. She kind of learned how to fly and turn herself invisible. Like, I don't know, there was a lot of different powers that she ended up having, and parts of it were also destructive and came from her anger, and so she would inadvertently hurt people or destroy some things when she got angry. And I'm not entirely sure what the time period was, but I think it was like early 2000s or in the 90s, because one of the main events that this centers around, and the whole reason why it's called Riot Baby, is because it mentions the tragic events that happened to Rodney King. One of the first videos that was put online about showing police brutality, and that really, rocked the nation and started up a bunch of riots across the country. So this kind of just goes through a bunch of time skips and talks about these two siblings, and the sister kind of disappears for long amounts of time in order to hone on her skills of the magical powers that she has, and the brother ends up in jail. And so we see him in jail for a lot of time and how he's kind of coping with that and then what happens afterwards. But there are a lot of time skips and there are a lot of sort of futuristic aspects that are introduced into the story, such as a bunch of upgrades in the police system and surveillance systems. And I feel like a lot of things weren't explained. And I also feel like there wasn't much of a resolution, or not necessarily one that I was very satisfied with. I feel like the resolution kind of fell flat and was up for interpretation because throughout this whole story, you could definitely feel the anger and the emotion that is building up within these characters and how much they want to change the system and how the system is just full of injustices and nobody's on their side and nothing's going to turn out all right because of how fucked up everything is. And this definitely hits, and it definitely, like, it made me cry because of how real it is and how this is so deeply rooted in real life events. The sister Ella, she feels, I guess, that since she has these powers, that maybe she could do something with it in order to bring the system down and start over. But I feel like there wasn't the resolution that I was really hoping for. It kind of built up, and I was like, okay, okay, let's go. And then it was just, and then there were like time skips, and it just kept on going. And I was like, okay, okay, is something gonna happen? um, I don't know. I mean, I just feel kind of like unsatisfied, and I don't know if it's like that's like part of the message because that's kind of like what we're going through in today's world because I feel like there's been obviously a lot more like a high surge in just social justice and everyone wanting to take down the system that is so severely fucked up, but we're not quite there yet. We're not really at that point where we can say where we can really like take it all down. So maybe that's part of the message, and that's the sort of allegory, is that we leave on this open space where we can kind of interpret it as it is. Um, but I don't know if that's just a thing with speculative fiction in general, that like maybe there's just things that I'm not picking up on that I just don't get it, or if it's all just up for interpretation and it is truly speculative, I guess. Um, but I don't know. Like again, it was 3 stars. It was emotional. It was very interesting, but again, some things were kind of confusing to me, especially because the perspectives changed quite often, and there wasn't really any prompt to tell you that the character's voice is switched, and so I kind of had to like pick up on that. And then there were a lot of time skips that also were not mentioned. It kind of gives you this flow where you're honestly not really sure how old these characters are anymore. It was very, heartbreaking to see the psyche of these characters and how they are dealing with the events that are kind of just going on in the world around them that they feel that they can't necessarily change, especially because the brother is in jail. So what is he going to do from inside there? And I think the fluidity, if we're not really noticing the time skips, definitely connects to Kevin's character because he's in jail for quite a long time, and he's been trying to put in for a retrial, but then things keep on getting rescheduled, it keeps on getting pushed back. So I think that connects to the time skips and how we don't really know the time period the same way that for Kevin he doesn't really know the time period, that time just keeps on passing by and he can't really, it's kind of hard to keep track of time in that way. So the next spin that I got for Out of Your Comfort Zone is a new release, and I picked up The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. I mostly talked about this in my previous update, so I feel like there isn't much else for me to add, but I liked how the characters really grew into their own stronger personalities, pretty much. They sort of stood up for what they wanted and what they believed they were more capable of having or getting. And so I really admired that part. I found their relationship to be really cute, but I did want to see a bit more of that. I feel like most of the book was just the chase of them sort of playing around with the idea of the fact that they shouldn't want each other, because of their own personal reasons, but they do want each other. And so I feel like that was the majority of it. And I kind of wanted to see a bit more of them actually being in the relationship together because I feel like they complement each other really well and they care for each other very, very deeply. And I mean, I liked seeing how they always just wanted to spend time with each other regardless. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was very compulsive that I like just didn't really want to put it down. The ending was cute because of how some certain things, connect back to their correspondences in the beginning. So the next day I spun for In Your Comfort Zone and I got the prompt less than 300 pages. So I picked up Piranesi by Susanna Clark and I knew nothing about this going in, which is exactly how it should be. All I know is this is about some funky house with a lot of halls and rooms and statues. And there's just this person that is kind of cataloging everything. And yeah, I guess it's just like a deep character study and trying to figure out what this house is and who this person is and just this whole world in general. I'm still not finished with it, but at the moment I am about 50% through. But I think I'll be able to finish before the end of the month, so I have 2 more days. I'm not going to say anything else about the plot because there isn't really a plot, but I love this. I think the main character, Piranesi, is adorable and just has good intentions and sees the beauty in life and the beauty in everything. And I vibe with that so hard. And that's just like exactly what I need right now. And I don't know, it's very magical and it's very mysterious. And I love sort of kind of putting in predictions of what I think this might all be a metaphor for, pretty much. And yeah, definitely annotating the shit out of this because it has so many beautiful things to say. Okay, here's a cute little quote that I want to share. It is my belief that the house itself loves and blesses equally everything that it has created. Should I try to do the same? Yet at the same time, I can see that it is in the nature of men to prefer one thing to another, to find one thing more meaningful than another. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. Sunday morning, I spent reading Piranesi, doing my little annotations. I took a little lunch break and made one of my favorite comfort foods. This is just a bowl of rice and tuna, as well as whatever other proteins and toppings that I have, usually any type of beans like chickpeas and eggs. And most of the rest of the day, I was reading articles that I needed to read in order to prepare myself for my upcoming internship. So, for my internship, I will be working on doing experiments with bees. If you're interested at all in bees and behavioral science, the articles I was reading related to directional bias and how bees have a bias towards going right or going left when foraging in different environments. So that was a fun little read. I continued with studying and reading the articles. And then I also did a tarot reading because I like to do readings about the month in general, whether it's like a message that I need to hear or something to look forward to or something just to keep in mind to sort of give me an idea about, I guess, the vibe of the month, let's say. And then for the rest of the night, I just continued reading Piranesi. I also did another out of your comfort zone spin and got author that I read from before, and I really wanted to pick up another James Baldwin. And so I was thinking of picking up Giovanni's Room, but then I saw that he has another book called Another Country, which I'd never really seen anyone talk about before. I really like his writing, but again, this is a really long book, so I'm not gonna finish it anytime soon. Like maybe in April I'll finish it, honestly. So I have finished Piranesi. And this was really good. It was definitely more vibes than plot. I honestly thought that this would be a lot more metaphorical and just meta than it actually ended up being. Because I did not expect that plot. When people talk about this, they can't actually talk about the plot because you're supposed to not know anything so that you can just, uncover the mystery behind it. And I'm not okay. I'm not disappointed about it because in my mind, thinking that this was a lot more metaphorical, it made me come up with a lot of different theories, which I found to be very interesting because I think like it makes sense for those messages to come through within the story. This is all going to sound really, really vague, and if you haven't read it, then I don't think this is going to make any sense. So I apologize for the vagueness. But yeah, like I annotated the okay, you can't really see, but I annotated the shit out of it. I put in so many like sticky notes with theories, I guess, and just thoughts about uh, where I thought that this was going or what I thought that it was all a metaphor for. What I can say is that this talks about what is referred to as transgressional thinking or transgressive thinking, which is just, thinking out of the box and out of the norm and connecting interdisciplinary things where usually they wouldn't connect. So so I really like that aspect where it talked about sort of esoteric thinking and how transgressive thinking is seen as controversial and how that can affect people's perception of other people. And if someone has these esoteric thoughts and is being very expressive about it, then it definitely affects how other people are perceiving them in like a negative way. Like people don't really accept these transgressive and interdisciplinary thoughts very well. Within the context of this, makes sense. Makes sense. But just in general, I think that, that leaves you with interesting messages. Like, I really like the takeaway from this, and I liked that it was very, for the most part, kind of calm and reassuring and cozy vibes, though there was definitely a lot of the mystery and the intrigue and the kind of anxiety of, okay, but what's actually going on? Like, are you okay? And so, yeah, I love the main character. I love Piranesi. He's a sweetheart. He's good intentions. He's a cinnamon roll. And just protect him at all costs, honestly. He was really cute. So, yeah, I really like this. I don't know if it would be a 5 star because the plot did kind of throw me off. But, I just finished, so I'm gonna let it sit with me, let it cook until I actually give it like a definitive star review. But yeah, I highly recommend this. It is really, really good. So those were the only spins that I was able to do during this readathon. Again, unfortunately, I didn't really read as much as I wanted to, but I'm also in the middle of a bunch of other books. So I wasn't able to finish a lot of books, but I still am in progress of reading a number of other books. So I hope you like this video. This was my first vlogging experience, so I feel like it was kind of very choppy and there were a lot of things that I forgot to film, or I just didn't film a lot of things in order or didn't give a lot of updates, but this is just the beginning and hopefully I will do a number of other reading vlogs in the future because I think this was really fun. I think definitely setting up the camera made me feel like it was holding me accountable. And so like I actually had to read because I feel like social media has been like way too much for me recently. And I've just been scrolling so fucking much that I think having my phone only there to record so that I don't get distracted by scrolling was super helpful for me to just like put it away and to actually focus on the reading part. So, maybe hopefully I will do a number of other vlogs in the future. Stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you would like. Next video will be my TBR for March, and I may or may not have made my own little TBR game. So stay tuned for that. I'm also going to be participating in Covers with Cassidy's Realmathon, which is her month-long reading challenge or readathon, and I will be joining the Realm of Creations. So let me know if you are maybe joining that readathon as well. I hope you tune in for next week's video as well, and have an amazing day. I hope your reading is going splendidly. Bye.